Hotep, Black Power, giving honor to the Creator, giving honor to the ancestors, giving honor to my sister, Chief of Staff, Brother Harris Abdul of the Street Law Soldiers, my father-in-laws, and the comrades who are in the ancestral realm as we speak, along with your ancestors and comrades, and specifically those who are fighting in the liberation and salvation for the black nation, as well as my subscribers. I greet you all in Hotep, Black Power, and peace. As we know, for those who don't know, Thursday was the born day of the great Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and this week alone has been so much energy as well as confusion, but mostly a lot of energy that has been revolved surrounding the ascension of the great barber, Brother Dick Gregory. And I want you to hear, before I get started, I want you to hear a speech that was made in the Longshoremen's Hall in New York with the audience of over 15,000 brothers and sisters that Marcus Garvey made. I'm just going to play just a portion, a small portion of it, because a lot of you never heard the voice of Marcus Garvey. Hopefully they will have the heart to come up to make a biopic of this great man. So I just want you to hear just an excerpt.
When I reform, look for me all around you, for with God's grace I shall come back with countless millions of black men and women who have died in America, those who have died in the West Indies, and those who have died in Africa, to aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and life. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own to make ourselves free men. Our great scholars have inspired through the colleges, the universities, have thrown away the blessed record. Babylon did it. Assyria did it. France under Napoleon did it. Germany under Prince von Bismarck did it. England under America under George Washington did it. Africa with 400 million black people can do it. If you cannot do it, if you are not prepared to do it, then you will die. You raise a coward.
That was just a small excerpt of the speech of the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who founded and created the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association, which had over 6 million members ready to and making preparation to make the pilgrimage to Liberia, back to Africa. And the whole program was intercepted by the FBI, which was led by J. Edgar Hoover. This was J. Edgar Hoover's first case against a black man, Marcus Garvey. And this is a share of one of the stocks in the Black Star Line that members had invested their money in to have stock. That way, when they went back to Liberia, you know, everyone would have been financially situated, so to speak. However, this entire week, and we wanna say happy birthday to the great brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, you know, who is personally one of my favorite people. And we wish him well. We thank him for the information, for what he has gave the black nation. And we can never thank him enough either. Brother Dick Gregory, the great barber Dick Gregory, we all know, made his ascension this weekend. He will definitely be missed. He can never be replaced. He has done so many phenomenal things during his stay here. From running for mayor, running for United States president, going on hunger strikes for 2-year hunger strikes. I mean, you know, if you follow Dick Gregory's life, you will get a better understanding of him, because a lot of you all, specifically those who claim to be conscious, you may have been just following the last maybe 10 years of Baba Dick Gregory's life. But if you go back into the 60s and 70s, you will see the sacrifices that Dick Gregory made. From being a multi-millionaire, well, really billionaire, to having nothing financially. You know, because he gave to his people. You know, he saved the lives of thousands and thousands of people through his weight loss program. You know, he was the first person that I know that came out with the Bohemian diet. He was the first person that I know that was a vegan. Because I've heard the term before, but it was so far and few in between. Very few people were vegans. You know, it was like 1 out of every 5 or 6 million black people were vegans. You know, based on my frame of reference. But Dick Gregory has done some phenomenal things. Phenomenal things. And we need not to, you know, execute any type of judgment on the great Bible. Because anyone that passes judgment has to be someone that has put more work in the black struggle than Dick Gregory. And I doubt if there's anyone on the planet right now in the black community that has put more work in than Dick Gregory. This living. He was a tremendous great man. And I always say that the greatest man, my superhero, my greatest superhero of all time was my biological father. But outside of that, Dick Gregory was one of my superheroes, one of my favorite people as well. He will definitely be missed. He, along with the great barber Steve Coakley, were solely responsible for exposing the culprits and the people who were key players in the King assassination. Dick Gregory had a hit that J. Edgar Hoover put out on him to take his life. He received so many phone calls. He lost his son. And then after he lost his son, he was receiving calls from crackers saying that they were glad that his son was dead. You know, and I want to clarify something. I made a big mistake in pronouncing his queen's name, Lillian. I kept saying Lucille on my last video clip. But Lillian, who was a phenomenal queen. And as we know, the black man can be as great as he can. He can be the greatest person in the world, depending on how great his woman is. Because, brothers, we all know that the black queen can bring the best out of the black king. And so, you know, we'll be discussing Dick Gregory from here on out. I mean, it's, you know, it's going to be a never-ending topic and conversation, you know. But at this time, with the request of his son, we would like to respect their privacy in their time of mourning and their time of grieving. And we have plenty of time to celebrate the life of Dick Gregory. But I'm going to respect the family's wishes as to their privacy while they're going through the mourning and grieving process. And once again, I ask that, and I pray and I ask the ancestors to not allow Dick Gregory's funeral to become anything other than what it's supposed to be. And I'm going to leave it like that. Nat Turner made his Insurrection today, as well as the scheduled Eclipse today. Nat Turner, who was the greatest minister, preacher, pastor of all time. And we all know that. And to this day, as we know that, you know, when Nat Turner was hanged, that, you know, he was skinned, and they used his skin for lamps, belts, lampshades, belts, and whatever, you know, whatever they could, you know, his penis and everything, toes, you know, just like those nuts. It's some, you remember those black nuts that were so hard to break during Christmas time when you were young? They were real black, hard nuts. The shell was jet black and hard. And the ancestors used to call those nuts, they were jet black, they used to call them nigger toes. Well, the white people created that name for those nuts, calling them nigger toes, in regards to when Nat Turner's toes were cut off, that some of the nuts had the shape of a big toe. And, you know, during the late 1800s, you know, crackers started calling those nuts nigger toes. So, you know, we have to just be clear about the hatred, even to today. Because I remember years ago being incarcerated in a Virginia prison, that if you mention the name Nat Turner, you know, and it was heard by any of the correctional staff, you will be placed on administrative segregation, meaning your ass will go in the hole for an indefinite period. And those laws in most of the prisons in Virginia still exist. So I know that there are hundreds of our brothers that have went in the hole as way of paying homage to the great Nat Turner. So, you know, today, you know, the eclipse is scheduled to be here today. Once again, this is when Nat Turner was given the signal from God that he was supposed to lead the charge on the insurrection to free his people from plantation to plantation, killing anybody that was in his way. And the only thing that stopped Nat Turner, two things. Some of his closest friends turned him in, and they had to actually call in the Union Army to go against Nat Turner and his posse. Although the posse started out pretty large, it ended very small. And I can never stop giving Nat Turner the praise, the honor for having the courage to stand up to the white supremacist, racist, white ice-age devils, slave masters, and go from plantation to plantation, releasing our brothers and sisters from physical motherfucking bondage, killing these motherfucking crackers. And see, that's another thing. When we talk about revolution and insurrection, we're considered militant by these crackers. You know, we're not supposed to have any type of retaliatory mindset. You know, otherwise we are militant, we hate God and all this shit. And see, they tell the masses of our people that. And so our people, when they see us, when they see conscious black men and women, the first thing they say, you know, one of the main things people say when they find a black man or woman with knowledge, are they a Muslim? That's the first thing. Second thing they'll say that I'm not with that violent shit. I'm not with killing. The Bible said thou shalt not kill. You know. And when you try to explain some things to our people, you know, most of them don't want to hear it. They go and they revert back to the same book. And let me just jump on this topic briefly. When people talk about the Bible, which was supposed to have been written, you know, by King James, a homosexual pedophile that used to sleep with his mother, have intercourse with his mother, then physically cut his mother's head off. He ran around the palace and sodomized and molested every boy that he saw. And so you take the words of a pedophile opposed to the words of your brothers and sisters. Because every Sunday we jump up and down for an hour to get that blast, just like a blast of crack or any type of drug. You get your blast, you jump up and down, you scream, you sweat, you lay on the floor, you give up your money, and then an hour later, nothing has changed. You're back to the same person conducting yourself in the same ignorant state of mind that you did prior to you going in to the church for an hour. And that's the difference in what Nat Turner was doing. Nat Turner took the Bible, took the scriptures, and used it to speak to the slaves in codes. That your day was coming for retribution and insurrection. And all you have to do is just wait on the Lord. He was talking about the eclipse. He was talking about himself coming back and the eclipse. And how many will stand in that day of judgment. And so you got to understand the codes that he used. Very brilliant brother. And you cannot tell me that the level of wisdom that he was functioning on and that level of energy, that wasn't straight from his ancestors and the Creator. So, you know, we need to really study and understand our people, besides continuing to accept being slaughtered by the oppressor. A lot of us don't believe that we're still in bondage. A lot of us, we actually think that we are free because we have, we may have a house, we may have a home, we may have a vehicle, we may have a job employed by someone. And we think that we are free. But you're only physically free. There's no way that you are liberated. We are not liberated in no way. Liberation means redistribution of the wealth. Liberation means no starving, no poverty, no hunger, no violence, no crime. No crime being committed for the purpose of surviving. That's liberation. Being compensated in all aspects of our being for the suffering and murder and torture and loss of life for over 600 million of our ancestors. That's liberation. So, and Dr. Alan Lucas, who played in the movie Slam, and who also was in the documentary Thug Life in D.C., has written a book called A View from Street Level. Very, very extraordinary, powerful book. And on my next video, I will be able to show you how to get in contact with brother Lucas. So back to the subject at hand. You know, the reason that was the reason why Birth of a Nation was caught so much hell into making the theaters. As you know, I did a video on that last year and how they used black bed wenches to go against Nate Parker about a charge that a case he had nearly 20 years before making the movie, to try to hold that against him. But the movie was a success as far as I'm concerned. And we give glory to the great brother, the great God, Brother Nat Turner. And Brother Irritated Genie, who always gives Nat Turner his props. He always gives Nat Turner, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, and Marcus Garvey strong honors. So a shout out to Brother Irritated Genie. And you know, this is going to be a powerful week. You know, my energy right now is you know, at a high right now. You know, Dick Gregory has left and opened so many portals for us to go through in terms of information, in terms of appreciation. In my first video I made, you know, I was functioning basically off emotion, because, you know, I knew Dick Gregory personally, and, you know, I knew what type of elder that he was, you know. But when you look back on his life and you watch what he went through, and then you look at yourself today and ask yourself, could you have survived or endured what Baba Dick Gregory endured in the 50s, 60s, and 70s? Plus, he was the first black to do stand-up comedy in front of a white audience. So you know, and you can imagine what was said, the type of remarks that he endured while he was on the stage. You know, and so, you know, and running for president and mayor, you know, he lost to one of the most vicious devils, vicious white ice ape devils that the planet has ever seen. And that's Mayor Daley. And he was the mayor that gave the orders to execute Brother Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, to execute them in their sleep. You know, that shows you what type of beast that this motherfucker was. you know. So we wanna give thanks to Marcus Garvey. We want to give thanks to Dick Gregory. We want to give thanks to Brother Nat Turner, and not just Nat Turner, the 20 and 30, 50 or 100 people that rode with him. That we may not know their names, you know, but we give thanks to them, because Nat didn't do it by himself. He led the charge on the insurrection. But he had soldiers with him, and we want to honor those soldiers, male and female soldiers, who engaged in a bloodbath with the white Ice 8 Devils in Southampton County, Virginia. We also want to thank Garvey and the people who his followers who stuck with him to the end. You know, who stuck with him to the end. Even though he had people that looked like him, that he thought was close to him, but you know, betrayed him as far as the ships were concerned, pocketing money and just an array of other things that really crushed Garvey for a minute. But those who rolled with Garvey, Carlos Cooks, you know, Malcolm's father, and the like that we don't hear about, we may not know their names, but those who rolled with Garvey as well. And those who followed the great Baba Dick Gregory, with me being one of them. So, you know, just giving thanks to these brothers, you know, because they were very, very powerful people. Now, I want to talk about a recent tragedy that took place in a Prince George's County, Maryland home, where a 25-year-old man murdered 3 babies. 6, 10, and I think the other one, I believe, may have been a teenager, 13 or 12 or something like that. You know, black police went into the home and was emotionally and physically distraught by seeing those babies laying in the beds, bludgeoned to death. And the autopsies have not come back to state, you know, what actually happened with those babies, whether they were sexually abused, you know, or whatever took place in that home. And you know, my opinion, for those who have been following my videos, which I have done over 200 videos, that I have zero tolerance for you niggas that fuck with these motherfucking children, man. I have no understanding of that pedophilia shit. I have no understanding of that fucking with little children and the homeless. I have no understanding, no comprehension, zero tolerance for rape of women. I believe your ass should be executed by the most painful process that can be given by mankind. I don't believe that your ass can be rehabilitated. I don't think that you can recover from shit like that. I think that you have blown a fucking gasket in your head that cannot be repaired. And as a result of that, you should have no existence on a planet where they have children. You know, so whether they were sexually abused or not, they were beaten to death by this nigga, you know, And whether he's, you know, mentally ill or whatever, even if that's the case, he should have never had the responsibility of caretaking those babies. You know, and if that's the case, then the mother should be dealt with. You know, and I believe the same type of treatment should apply to her too, because that's neglect, and you leaving your children vulnerable and open to be taken advantage of and murdered like that. So I have no understanding of your ass either. Give me your opinion on it. I'm quite sure a lot of you feel the same way as I do. And if you look up and look into Fox 5 News Washington, and you can get more information on that tragedy. That's a horrific tragedy in the black community. You know, and another thing I want to discuss, you know, and I may do a part 2 to this. Matter of fact, I am going to do a part 2 to this about the situation with Usher, with these people claiming that Usher gave them herpes. Now, I'm no Usher fan or anything like that, but at the same time, if these accusations are not, you know, if you're not defending these accusations, then it must have some validity to it. You know, I heard one person say that one of the sisters is lying, you know, because she's, you know, a plus size woman, you know, which doesn't mean nothing. You have a lot of brothers, just because you're an entertainer, don't mean that you have a 36, 24, 36. You know, a lot of brothers love plus size women, you know. And her last name is Sharpton, which, you know, I'm struggling with believing her, you know, just based on her last name. And then this other guy said that, you know, Usher, you know, gave him the same thing. So, like I said, I'm going to do a part 2 to it, you know. But for right now, I hope that you got something out of the video. Because to be honest, you know, I have a lot of positive energy flowing everywhere, you know, based on the situation and the things, events and things that have taken place in the last 6 days. So, you know, I hope that, you know, you got something out of the video, because I know you feel the same way. But until again, Hotep, Black Power.